believe, right, if I am sleeping with a guy and on multiple and back-to-back occasions, he's not giving me an orgasm, you are not getting the full roster. You're just not. You're not getting blowjobs. You're not getting proper warm-ups. We're going to do every position that I want. You're not putting me in any uncompromising position. My leg isn't going anywhere that I don't want it to until I see an orgasm. Hi guys, and welcome back to Love What Lack. Now, I'm recording this week from a new space. If you're watching on YouTube, and you'll see on my reels on Instagram at Sadie Maltby, and at Love What Lack, of course, you will see your gal's got a different setup and she's feeling pretty good about it. So I'm on my little manifestation journey this week. Now, I feel like I always end up bringing manifestation stuff into, not every episode, but like, it's there. I'm a, positive thinking preacher, manifestation girly. And, I've been like in my mind now for a while, I need a studio. And I think when I've started to air that on episodes where I'm like, I really want a studio, help me out, I really want one, your brain then, I think, just starts to think, okay, actually you really need this studio, so let's make it happen. Now, I'm definitely not in a studio, and the setup is far from perfect. For starters, I'm sat in a green chair, which is my favourite colour, and when I walked in, I was like, oh my god, it's a green chair, like maybe it's a good sign. But I'm not going to lie, it's not a nice colour green. It is like a moss colour green. Obviously, the natural word you want to call her is snobby. Actually, I've just realised, because my boyfriend pulled me up on this before, I think Welsh people say snobs for like bugs, or this is so random, I'm talking about it, or buggies. But I think English people say snot. So when I'm saying snobs, I don't mean like stuck up people. I mean snobs as in like up your nose. Anyway, am I going to cut that out? I don't know. No, I wanted to start the episode, sorry. But yeah, it's not a nice colour green. And, it's not perfect, but I feel like professional here. And I feel like it's just giving my mind a little taster for the studio. A little like drip feed into the future of what I could be. And it feels really good, so I'm very excited that I've been able to find myself a little room, basically. I've been able to sort out myself a little room to rent, to record. And, I just want to get Love What Lack up to the top. Like, I've got big hopes and dreams for this podcast. And I'm just trying to make it happen in my room, in my little green snobby chair. But yeah, obviously the big goal is still a studio. So as always, please come and follow me on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. I'm on Instagram at Sadie Maltby, at Love What Lack, where I've got loads of reels going on over there all the time. Please leave me a review on Spotify. I think I asked last week, it shot up like 10 reviews. I couldn't believe it. I said last week like I want to hit 100 reviews, and you guys just elevated me. 10 in a day. Mad numbers, moving absolutely mad, couldn't believe it, so I'm super grateful, thank you for that. Still on my 5-star streak, so yeah, please help support your gal and get her in the studio and out of this green chair. But no, like I said, I'm super grateful and I'm super excited. I feel very professional today, so I wonder what turn the podcast is going to take. Will I still be talking about dicks? Absolutely yes. Professional, talking about dicks just in a professional setting. Anyway, I've got a story this week, as always. This is what we're here for. You know what, it's a short and sweet one, but it's punchy, and it just really resonated with me, and I think it will with you guys as well. So let's go straight into it. I got divorced at 31 after finding out my husband had been having an affair for 3 years. Firstly, 3 years? Is there any need to keep an affair going for 3 years? Like, that's a whole double life you live in. Look, I'm going to be real, I'm going to be honest, as always. I've cheated before, and let me tell you, I knew there and then in that moment I had to break up with my partner. Like, immediately, it was like an immediate thing. And I didn't do it straight away, ironically, but I did do it. To actually go about having an affair and live a double life for 3 years, I don't know how people do it. That'll be absolute turmoil. You've got to be like not a psychopath, but you've got to really lack empathy, I think. And I think you've got to be in a bad state yourself. Like, you know, like last week's story, the shit that guy was doing. You've got to be going through something yourself, I've known, to treat people like that. But yeah, 3-year affair. I wish I could say I didn't know, but deep down I probably did. Not gonna lie, that broke my heart a bit when I read it. And do you know, it resonated with me because I listened actually to Gwyneth Paltrow on Call Her Daddy this week. Gwyneth Paltrow, by the way, how funny is she as a person? Like, obviously she's an actress and she's an amazing actress, but I think she's been around for so long that I barely remember her as an actress, apart from in Sliding Doors, obviously, which I talk about all the time on this podcast. But now I just kind of look at her as in, like, as somebody, like, quite funny with the vagina candles, and somebody who I actually, like, quite admire. I don't even know why, but she's talking about vibrators and her vagina candles and stuff on the podcast. But anyway, she was saying that as women especially, but I mean men must know as well, but I think even more so as women, just because obviously we're better, she said that she thinks that we have such strong intuitions that ultimately we know what's right for us, but it depends how many layers we put on top of it to conceal it. And I just thought that was so true. Do you know, I've gone into relationships where literally straight away I'm like, you are not the one for me. Like, I know in my gut, I'm so sure you are not the one for me. But then the layers is like, well, I like him though, and he does this, and he does this for me, and we have fun together. And you know, you like add all these layers and you can keep it going for like, well, my ballpark time seems to be about a year and a half. But then you're back to square one and you end it. And I feel like this is a similar thing. Like, she must have known and had an intuition. Well, obviously she did, because she said that like something wasn't right. But then you put all that stuff over it, all the layers, and you're like, well, I don't know, maybe he's just stressed with work. Maybe we're just going through a bad spell. That's what relationships go through. But, you know, we're young and we've been married for a while, and you know, we can't break up because we have such a nice home together. You know, like, you put all those layers on top of it. But ultimately, in your gut, you do know. And I think sometimes I wish I was strong enough to, like, listen to my gut and act on it straight away. Because I think I am, unfortunately, somebody that has a gut feeling but can, like, talk myself out of it for a little bit. Not for that long, but for a little bit, I think. I don't know, although the other day my friend texted me saying that she, not randomly, we were literally talking about stuff, she just texted me out of the blue saying this thing, but she basically said to me that I'm somebody that follows my heart. She's like, I just think you're somebody that follows your heart, not your head. So, which I definitely am, but maybe I don't follow it that quickly. Do you get me? Also, 31 and divorced. Triggering for some people, because I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to get married that you do it and then you end up doing it too young. Why do we all pressure ourselves, it's obviously society, to get married before 30? Because, divorce at 31 is a full TikTok trend, weirdly, that I saw either just before or just after I got sent this story of similar people like divorced at 29 and saying they'd rather be single for longer and later in their life than marry the wrong person and get divorced, which makes complete sense. But on the flip side, divorced at 31 might sound a bit taboo, but I'd rather be divorced at 31. Like, that's my age now. Like, you're still young, you're still in your prime. Not that should matter, people can meet people at all different ages, but you know what I mean? You're still young. So yeah, that's my little take on that. Okay, back to the story. After vowing to stay single for the rest of my life, classic, at 44, I went to Butlins for a girly weekend and met the love of my life. Big up Butlins. If you've been an OG listener, you'll know that I'm very sour about the fact that I've never been. And that is because my first boyfriend wouldn't allow me to. And I don't know if I went through this full story, but my first boyfriend didn't allow me to go to Butlins, and then we broke up. It was too late for me to book to go on the trip. He managed to worm his way in with the boys, so he went to Butlins, which I was fuming about. Then I got into a new relationship, and I mentioned Butlins again. This was like the following year, and he was like, no, you're not going to Butlins. And me, like a fool, listened to him. So I'm very bitter about Butlins, and I could have met the love of my life there by the sounds there, because this girl did. But can I just say, at 44, so what's that, 13 years later, how amazing is that? And yeah, this is what I mean by you can meet somebody at any age, and obviously you're like a different person then as well. I think that's really fascinating, like 13 years single. Well, I imagine she had some fun. I hope so. I hope she didn't have a very, very dry spell for 13 years. But yeah, she met the love of her life at 44. He was staying next door, and believe it or not, we lived 2 miles from each other, but had never met. Everything happens for a reason, and we couldn't be happier. I love that, and you know I'm always an advocate for timing, and things are meant to be and they're meant to happen when they happen. That is just proof of it. Living 2 miles away from someone and not meeting until you're 44, it just shows that you weren't meant to meet until that time when you're both ready to love and be with each other and have your happy endings. And that's literally the end of the story. And I love it. It's relatively drama-free, did have an affair, but what I love about it is we're not focusing on that. We're not focusing on the affair and the shit that man did for 3 years, which still shakes me to my core. We're focusing on the fact that, yeah, that happened, it was shit, I was sworn off men, but actually, when I least expected it, no, do you know, that sounds really cliche, and I'm not really like, I don't think I've ever said that to a single person, like, it'll happen when you least expect it, because what's that mean? Especially now, in this day and age, like, you need to be on dating apps. Although, I will say, I went to Canary Wharf last night for drinks, and as in last week, when I recommended Madison, I also recommend Canary Wharf. I'll be honest, there weren't any hot guys there. I was with my friend who's single, and she was like, there's usually hotter guys here. They weren't hot, but they were on the pull. They were on the pull, they came up and chatted by themselves, by the way. I don't know what they put like in those bankers' wines. It's probably the money that they put in the back pocket that gives them the confidence to come up to me and my friend without their friends, just completely by themselves. One guy pulled up a chair next to us and started chatting for ages. So yeah, actually people do come up to you in Canary Wharf, but like generally, I guess that could be when you least expect it, but generally you say that to people, and if they don't go out much, they're like, well, when's it going to happen? Because I don't go out anyway. So if I don't go on a dating app, when am I going to meet somebody? But I think people say when you least expect it, because I think it goes deeper than that, where they just say like, live your life, enjoy yourself, work on yourself, and then that's like when it comes. But that's not because you're not looking for it, that's just because you're in like such a good place that you like attract such good energy in people. Anyway, a little bit deep today. I told you it's the chair, it's the professionalism coming out of me, but don't worry, we will soon drop that, because I've been sent another dickmatizing story. This is back to back now. I'm honestly, one of my all-time goals for this podcast would be weekly messages about the dicks that you've seen, because you know what's really good? And as a girl, or as a gay guy, or whatever, somebody that sleeps with men, basically, you will always understand, right? I know I'm right with this. You'll always remember either a very large penis or a very small one. All the average ones, they just blur into one. But if you get a really big one or a small one, they're the ones that will stick in your mind. Already, top of my head, I've got 4 penises, I remember. Boom, boom, boom. They're the ones that stick in my head. And I have been unfortunate enough to deal with a very small one. And obviously I remember that as well. So it's very interesting. I think that's why people send these stories, because when they hear words like big dick, small dick, they're like, oh my god, yeah, I remember that big dick I once had. So I've got another dick story for you guys, and oh my god, it's actually hilarious. Sid, loving the podcast this week and last, hysterical. I'm loving the dickmatized phrase. I had an ex who had a grower. was smaller than average when he wasn't aroused and just continued to grow bigger and bigger as it got harder. Growers are fascinating things. I've been with a grower before, and it is amazing because nothing special when flaccid. When they get aroused, I mean, this one just went to like a decent size, but the one that this girl is on about, well, let me just tell you. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. My friends thought I was exaggerating. I took a picture once of his dick aside my face to show them how big it actually was, and it was bigger than my head. They couldn't believe what they saw. It was like a growing aubergine, but it was like an upside down one. So does that mean thinner at the end? Upside down aubergine. Yeah, maybe thinner at the end. Oh no, upside down one, because she says could hardly fit the head in my mouth, so that means it was bulbous at the end. Could you imagine the damage to my poor vagina? I would wake some mornings, my vagina would be like something off a Fray Bentos pie advert. Be proud of your puffed up pie. I've never seen a Fray Bentos pie advert, but hilarious. I was literally weak when I read it, well even now, like as I'm reading it out again, I'm still laughing. But this is what I mean with like a super big one. You can't work with it. Like, I know I was trying to be coy last week. Well, basically I'll tell you the full story now. But whenever I was on top with my large penis, I couldn't reach the base of the penis. So, not like the whole, well not the whole point, but I mean, kind of the whole point. When a girl goes on top, it's because, how crude am I going to get with this? It's because obviously you have like friction there and touching there, and it's easier for the girl to orgasm when she's on top, yeah? When I had this super large penis, I couldn't reach the friction because it wouldn't fit all the way in. I was almost like hovering above him, like from afar, hoisted up by his penis. It's just not manageable, honestly. And yeah, you can't get it in your mouth. Can't be nice for the guy either. This is what I think. It can't be enjoyable for the guy fully, because the base of it never touches anything. Only a hand at best. What a sad, sad life for a penis. She goes on to say, oh my god. My labia would be so swollen. I couldn't walk either, so I thought I'd share a similar experience. I tried everything and anything to stop it from happening. Good experience to try a big one, you are right, but definitely not a long-term thing. It's the whole fantasy around a big one that got me all aroused, but can only experiment to a certain extent because of its size. See? So true. We all want the big one, obviously, but when it comes down to it, can we handle it? And I think evidently there's 3 of us now that have come out with our stories from Big Dicks Anonymous, and evidently we can't take it. So what's the answer, please? Somewhere out there I hope that for those big penises there's an opening that fits just right for them. That's what I truly hope. But yeah, it's just important to find the right one. I think it's just as important as sexual chemistry, and sexual chemistry comes from that sometimes, don't it? No, Samantha in Sex and the City, when she starts going out with Richard, and she starts as the first guy she has feels for, apart from the one that has the tiny penis right at the start. But this is the first one where we see that she's getting feels for a while. And they ask what she likes about him, and she says he has the most perfect dick I've ever seen. Long, pink, amazing. I just think it is important, isn't it? It is. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop talking about it now, but again, if you've got any stories, please come and share them, because best believe I love them. I'm absolutely loving them. And yeah, actually this is a reason for the dick stories, but also the love stories. This is why I need the podcast to get out there, because we all love these stories, obviously the funny ones, but also like the heartbreaking ones and the ones with happy endings, whatever, they're actually super helpful for people. And like I said, I get so many messages saying how like much the story this week has helped them. So it's important that I can get more of them. So yeah, if you like this episode, just like share it with a friend or send it to them on Instagram. Like, I can't see if you share a reel. Like, I can't tell that you've sent it to somebody, you know. So just get the word out, because maybe we can reach somebody that is either in a Big Dicks Anonymous group, well, or wants to join one, I should say. I don't think there's one out there as far as I know. I think this is the only one exclusively to Love What Luck. But yeah, there might be somebody out there that has a story to share, or obviously just wants to hear them. So yeah, that's my second little plug there for helping me out. Right, so obviously like lots of the stories I share, unfortunately, are around infidelity, cheating. I mean, we've had some wild ones, haven't we? My husband became a swinger behind my back, which still remains like ingrained in my memory. So obviously I talk a lot about these things, which brings a very important issue of trust. So I thought I'd have a bit of a serious thought of the week this week, because did I watch or listen to? I can't remember, but it was something that Jay Shetty had done. You know, like Jay Shetty, I must have spoken about him on here before. He's like he used to be a monk, actually, and now he's like a positive wellness coach. You must have seen him. He's got like 13 million followers on Instagram. It's insane. But basically, he was talking about trust, right? And what he said was like super interesting, so I thought I've got to share it with you guys, because you can apply it to partners, but also I think to friends as well, and I think like just relationships in general. And basically he said, right, that there's 4 stages of trust. So when you meet somebody, there's 4 stages that trust builds up in. So the first stage is 0% trust. This person is a stranger, so you shouldn't trust them. Like, you're not going to ask a stranger to look after your kid, do you, before you're going into a shop? Or, you know, you're not going to ask a stranger to look after your dog or your laptop, like, whilst you go to the bathroom. You know, they're a stranger, you don't know what they like, so there's 0% trust. So that's the first stage, but there is, like, evidence that if you fancy somebody, or if you think they're intelligent, you're naturally more likely to trust them. And this, lady, is where the red flag should come in for us, because this is where lust comes into it, and you're ready to give that person, you know, your labia, you're ready to give them your money, your home. You're just ready to give them things because they've wowed you and they've charmed you. And I think, this is my take on it, this is where it's like lust at first sight comes in, where you see somebody and you're like, yeah, I'm going to give you my life. I think I've mentioned the story before, where I saw a guy once across a bar. I'm only saying the story because I was actually talking about it last night for the first time in ages. I looked across the bar at this guy who I fancied so much, and I was like, you're my husband. You're actually the one. Literally just by looking at him from across the bar, I was like, done. Bit unfortunate that I'm meeting him at 25. Didn't want to get married this young, but, you know, I didn't make up the rules. Gonna have to marry him. Gonna have to give him my love, my body, my home, like whatever he asks for. How ridiculous is that? So it's actually very true, and I thought I was always like a really sensible person. I don't trust easily. Turns out, maybe I do. So yeah, be wary. If you see somebody super hot to you and super intelligent and charming, remember that they are at 0% of trust, and you should treat them like a really sketchy stranger that you see on a train. Do not trust them straight away. Then we go into number 2, and this is transactional trust. And this is where you start to see proof. So this is when you know that you can start trusting them and giving stuff. And it's basically, they follow through with something that they say they're going to do. So if they say, I'm going to book dinner and I'll meet you there at 7 p.m. And then the day comes and they're like, yeah, all okay. You go to the restaurant, the table is booked, they're there on time. That is the start of trusting somebody. And this can be with like friends as well and colleagues. Like, do you know, if you've got a colleague, basically, right, I would say I'm not very it's weird because I'm open, but what I would say is it will sometimes take me a while to tell somebody like a full story of something. Do you know what I mean? I'm very open and I don't keep like secrets on a base level, but I need to like get to know you and trust you before I start telling you like, oh, I cried yesterday at this. Do you know what I mean? And I find I'm like this with friends, colleagues, like basically girls, I suppose. Well, not just girls, but you know, like friendships, and I should say friendships. And it's like, if somebody in work was to say to me, yeah, let's go out next Thursday, and then next Thursday comes and they don't text me or mention it, or yeah, I'm going to go out for lunch at 12 if you want to come, and then the day comes and they're like, oh, sorry, I forgot. Naturally, I already know I'm not going to tell you something. Like, excuse me, you think you can bail on me 3 times and you think I'm going to come and tell you about my life's problems? No. Sorry, you're going to have to tune into Love What Luck for that. If you want to hear about my dickmatizing stories, that's what you're going to have to do, and the trust is going to have to come from you tuning in every week for me to share that with you. I'm not going to share it with you over a coffee that we've tried to plan 4 times and only now you're seeing me. Do you get what I mean? So it is actually true, but I never thought of that as trust before, but it actually is. And when you think about it, like with a guy, if a guy, it's basically like, the only example I can think of is bailing. Let me think of another one. Yes, I think another one is if you speak to a guy and he's like bad mouthing loads of girls he's been with, yeah, if he's like, oh, and I slept with this one girl and her tits were saggy, all that stuff, immediately I'm like, I'm not going to trust you. You're never going to get a picture from me, and you're never going to see my boobs, you're never going to get me, because I already don't trust you because of what you're saying about other people. But I never thought of that as trust, but it actually is. That's stage number 2. Okay, the third trust is reciprocal trust, and that is, I can do nice things for you and I will know I'll get it back. It doesn't have to be now, but I know I'm going to get it back in the future. This is like my favourite type of trust, because this is the trust you have like with your best friend, I think, and your family, where you go out for dinner and they say, oh my god, shit, I forgot my card, and you're like, don't worry, I'll pay for it, and you don't even think about wanting that money back. You don't think about they using me. You fully trust that it's a mistake, and you know that if you were ever in the same position, they're going to do the same. Or next time you go for drinks, they're going to say, oh, let me buy you this drink because you paid for dinner before. It's like that easy trust thing, and that's why you have like with boyfriends where you say, he rings you, or like a guy you're seeing, girl, wherever, my car's broken down, will you come and fetch me? And you're like, yeah, I will. And then you know you can do it back. And that's a very, very important thing that you should have in a relationship or with someone you're dating. Because if it's always you doing the work and you don't get shit back, it's not selfish to be like, actually, mate, I'm a queen, like, treat me right. Don't be getting taken advantage of. The other thing that this can come into is orgasms. Best believe, right, if I am sleeping with a guy and on multiple and back-to-back occasions, he's not giving me an orgasm, you are not getting the full roster. You're just not. You're not getting blowjobs. You're not getting proper warm-ups. We're going to do every position that I want. You're not putting me in any uncompromising position. My leg isn't going anywhere that I don't want it to. Until I see an orgasm. That's a reciprocal trust. And if it doesn't come back, I'm sorry, bye. You know how I feel about this. If you can't orgasm, and even when you're saying to them and they don't care enough to try and make it happen for you, sorry, no. Lack of trust there. Absolute lack of trust, and you're not getting the most out of me. Okay, number 4, the final one, is unconditional trust. And this is something like you get from a parent. And Jay Shetty said, it's rare in romantic relationships, and we probably don't even need to reach that level in romantic relationships. And I thought that was really interesting, because it is different to family. I think even when you marry somebody, it's never the same thing as like an actual family, is it? And I think it's like with relationships, they can always end. always. No, even if you're in like the best place now and you're like, I'm gonna give him my kidney, I'm actually gonna sell my kidney to him. Lest we forget Selena Gomez and her friend. She had her friend's kidney and now they don't talk anymore. I mean, oh my god, I actually saw a TikTok the other week about this, of a girl saying she gave her boyfriend a kidney and then he cheated on her on a lad's holiday. I would be fuming. I'd be straight on the phone to that doctor, like, sorry, can we do reversal kidney surgery, please? I want my kidney back. I'd be like secretly trying to poison him. I mean, obviously I wouldn't. But the audacity, can I just say, of somebody taking a kidney from you and then cheating. Where do they get the audacity from? Because if I took somebody's kidney, I would feel guilty even drinking alcohol on it. I'd feel guilty like eating a Fray Bentos pie, which obviously is in my memory from earlier. But you know what I mean? Do they even affect your kidneys? I don't know. I'd basically be afraid of treating it badly. So to then go and cheat with somebody else's kidney, sorry, you were entering somebody else whilst my organs are actually inside you and even making you alive and contributing in a roundabout way to that erection. I'm sorry. That's got to be a straight to hell felony. That is like a straight to jail, straight to hell offence. But yeah, so basically Jay Shetty said you shouldn't have this with a partner, but what we tend to do is meet somebody we really like and go straight in at number 4. And immediately we're like, oh my god, he's bought me flowers and he planned a date and he's picked up my dog for me and brought him to me. I love him, and if he wants my kidney, I'm going to give it to him. That's like what people do, and that is the danger and the nature of love, innit? In love, just mental, that it makes you do that, and it makes you trust somebody with your life within like a year of meeting them. And I'm not even just talking about romantic relationships, I'm talking about friendships as well. You trust them with like your deepest, darkest secrets, just like trusting that they're gonna keep that secret and private even if you stop talking. Like, it's actually wild, and that is what love does to us. So I don't think Jay Shetty's trying to say like have a guard up, but maybe a little bit. Let's like not go to level 4 trust. Let's like keep our kidneys as long as possible, and maybe just go for like that level 3 trust, which actually I said was like really nice. Because we have to remember that like trust is so easily broken, and that's what I think is so sad, is that we trust other people and it can be built up over lots of little things. Like obviously some people trust straight away, and that sometimes is like their character, and they give, which is like such a nice thing, but obviously can be taken advantage of. But I think some people like get trust built up. Like I do actually think, now I'm thinking about it, especially in relationships, it does take a while for trust to build. Like I'm not going to tell you everything straight away. I'm not going to like fully relax straight away until I feel like you're trustworthy. And then in a second, like a complete one-off moment, the full trust, all the steps you built up, gone. Like literally gone. And it's actually fucking mental. Sorry to swear, but it is wild, isn't it? In that one moment, your whole relationship with somebody can just go. And it's the same with friendships, family, obviously like romantic partners. It can just go in a single heartbeat. But I did read somewhere before that if your trust is broken, but like you want to make the relationship work, like wherever that relationship is, if you want to make it work and you understand and you talk things through, then what you should do is write a list of all the things that they do to make you trust them. So like literally go down, write a list and be like, okay, well, he always shows up for me. He takes my mother out every Sunday to do her shopping because I can't take it. You know, just like all these little things. He's like, he never lets me down, blah, blah, blah. Or she, like my friend has done this, but they've made that one little mistake. And I think that's like a really good way to overcome it. You think, okay, like when you weigh it up, you think like, okay, they've done like 50 good things, but they've only done one thing to break the trust. So should that one small thing, I mean, it depends what it is, obviously. And it, like, you know, this is not like a rule for all or blanket statement. But you have to like weigh up if that little thing really is enough to like wipe out all the others. So I think that's like a really interesting topic of conversation, really. And lots of people, if they get cheated on, like so many of the stories I've got, they do say like that they've had trust issues in the next relationships, but they're able to work through them, and that is because the new partner does things and trust can be built back up. And yes, it's quite a deep convo there. I would actually love to hear your feedback on this. I feel like, do you know what, there's actually another snobby moss green chair in this room. And I'm like, maybe it's time to bring a guest on with me again. Like, I've had a few guests. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to ask you to slide into my DMs with any stories that you've got that you can relate to that. DM me, I'm at SadieMaltB or at LoveWhatLuck, and my email is in the show notes. If you can think of anything from today's episode that's resonated, then come and chat to me. You know, it's my absolute favourite thing about the podcast. And you know, you can leave, there's like a little Q&A thing now on Spotify. So after you listen to an episode, you can actually write something if you want. You can say like, loved that. You can say hated that if you like, but please don't. That might crush my soul. Please keep your hate comments to yourself. But yeah, you can even leave it's not even a review, it's literally just like a comment on Spotify if you like. I feel like this episode has gone super quick and I could chat for so much longer, but I think I've been talking for about half an hour, which is usually my wrap up time, so I think I will wrap it up. I don't like to keep you for too long, and obviously all my thoughts will pour over to next week, and I'm sure I'll bring you some more stories and some more things I've come across. But yeah, thank you for listening. As always, come and chat to me, give me a follow, all the rest of it. Get me out to the greenhouse chairs and into a studio, guys, because let me tell you, it's good. It's a really good feeling to be here in my pre-studio. So yeah, that's it. Hope you all have an amazing week, and I will speak to you next Tuesday. Thanks, guys.